Tonight from Hollywood, the National Hispanic Media Coalition presents their annual Impact Awards Gala. And here is your host, actor, presenter, athlete, author, and dancer with the stars, Mario Lopez.
Good evening, buenas noches, buenas tardes on the West Coast. Hello there to everybody in between, and welcome to the National Hispanic Media Coalition's Impact Awards. Mario Lopez here, and delighted to be with you virtually to help us honor some of the people who are making America a better and more equitable place for all of its minorities, in this case, my very own. You'll meet some heroes you may not know about, and I'll get to present awards to some of the most famous people on the planet, and in this case, they all deserve them. You'll be seeing a lot of me as we go along, so let me turn it over to the woman at the top of the NHMC. Brenda Castillo currently serves as the first woman president and CEO of NHMC, the civil rights nonprofit organization that for 35 years has been educating and increasing visibility of Latinos. Their reach stretches from their policy work in Washington to their media advocacy in Hollywood, where they collaborate, create, and connect Latin talent with the entertainment industry. In addition, they have a very successful collaboration with other organizations in an effort to stop hate online and make streaming platforms responsible for their content. And I know you've been hearing a lot about that lately. So I would tell you more, but that is Brenda's job. And here she is now, your president, Brenda Castillo.
Thank you, Mario. I remember when NHMC honored you back in 2013. We appreciate that you have continued to support NHMC, and we are elated that you're hosting this evening. And thank all of you for joining us. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the land from where I am coming to you from, Tongva land. We honor and celebrate Native artistry by giving our awardees a work of art created by Cara Romero. Cara is a contemporary fine art photographer known for her Tongva Land series. You may have seen it on billboards throughout Los Angeles metro area. I started off as the first woman president and CEO of the National Hispanic Media Coalition last year in 2020, and since then my mission has always been to elevate NHMC into a new era, to transform us into an organization that makes sure that Latinx in this country is represented, supported, and uplifted. In the past year, NHMC has been advocating for visibility of Latinos in Hollywood, from our very own 10-year-old Latinx Dream Showcase to our 20-year-old series scriptwriters program. Every day, we work to uplift and highlight Latino creators that make strides in the media. We are proud to say that we have seen many success stories this year, so we will continue to collaborate, create, and connect Latinx talent with the industry. Our social justice work transcends spaces that go beyond a writer's room or a Hollywood film set. That is why NHMC is in Washington, D.C., working together with lawmakers to eliminate online hate and disinformation and advocating for programs that help close the digital divide for our children and marginalized communities. NHMC has been and will continue to fight for Latinx representation from Hollywood to the White House, because we know the power of representation truly does matter. And most importantly, to our Hollywood executives, work with us. Help us build bridges in the community to bring us into the boardrooms and writers' rooms. I am a big believer that you do not have to be Latino or part of another marginalized community in order to believe in civil rights. So join us in our movement. Work together with NHMC to really make an impact in Hollywood, close the digital divide for our children, and eliminate hate in this country. Thank you for joining us this evening. And thank you for joining us in our social justice movement.
Thank you, Brenda Castillo, for your leadership. Now, some music from a homegrown Los Angeles performer. Get ready for Crisol.
Hi, my name is Crisol. It's an honor to be here with you tonight for the Impact Awards Gala. Thank you so much to the National Hispanic Media Coalition for having me. This song is called Love Again.
Trying to revive my innocence that before I met you, and we spin toward the end, and it's believe we're set lies in our comfort. We forgot how our love works. Do you think that you can get with a chip on your shoulder? I've seen you at your worst, but these days you're getting colder. It doesn't even hurt to admit that it's over now. You pulled away first. I'm just trying to keep up. That's how gravity works. You just have to let it drop. Right back to where it all begins. And I'm trying to revive my innocence that before I met you and we spin towards the end. And it's obvious we can't pretend that the timing's fine. We're poison and our only chance to learn to love again. Where there was love, now there's space, residing in what was, to replace the need, the want for us to talk, accept the deal, forget our wants, because there's too much to communicate. Try to recognize what you will or you won't do. Once there was a time when I was all about you, kept a step behind, you took me out of your view. You pulled away first. I'm just trying to keep up. That's how gravity works. You just have to let it drop. Right back to where it all begins. And I'm trying to revive my innocence till before I met you and we spin towards the end. And it's obvious we can't pretend that the timing's fine. We're poison and our only chance to learn to love again. Again. No. I wanna need the chance to love again. I wanna need the chance to love again. I wanna need the chance to love again. I wanna need the chance to love again.
Thank you, Crisol. Now, one of the things that the last few years have taught us is that leadership gets you out of a crisis. We look to our leaders in all areas of our lives to give us the practical, psychological, and emotional support to deal with the major societal issues that seem to just keep coming. Our first award tonight is for outstanding leadership. And yes, we have found an outstanding leader, and her name is Monica Lozano. Now, that's not a name I've mentioned on Access Hollywood or any of the other places you've found me over the years. Monica is not a celebrity, necessarily a reality star or a public personality. What she is a force, an unstoppable force, most recently behind a national movement to change the way we educate kids from diverse, low-income, disadvantaged communities. She didn't start off doing this. She began her career in the media, winding up as the publisher and CEO of La Opinión, the largest and most influential Hispanic newspaper in the country. Like I said, she's a force. Her position at the top of the Latin media propelled her onto the boards of such companies as Bank of America, Walt Disney. So my kids, I guess, got to thank her for Coco and Encanto, but so thank you on their behalf. And meanwhile, at La Opinion's parent, Impra Media, she was leading the company's mission to inform the Hispanic community of impactful changes in the wider American landscape. At the Aspen Institute, where she became a member, she became a key advisor in a project to bridge the emerging Hispanic growth and influence across the U.S. with a broader American society. And at California Futures Foundation, She partnered with organizations and leaders across the state to bring on systemic change, increase college degree completion, and close equity gaps so that educational opportunity becomes a reality for every student, regardless of skin color, zip code, or income. Sometimes the old expressions say it best: you want to get something done, you find a busy person to do it. Monica Lozano has gone from strength to strength, serving her own community in an exemplary fashion, bringing along with her a new generation of people determined to make a difference. That right there is outstanding leadership, and sometimes it even gets you an award. So I'm honored to present the NHMC Impact Award for Outstanding Leadership to Monica Lozano.
Thank you so very much, and to the National Hispanic Media Coalition, to Brenda and your entire team, to the other honorees, thank you so much for this amazing honor. It is really quite humbling to get the Impact Award for Leadership. And the reason I say that is because I've often asked myself, when I look back over the course of my life, what would I be most proud of? And I very often think about having impact, about doing things that make this world better for others. And when I think about leadership, I so often reference those that were in my life that taught me the true lessons of leadership. And frankly, they were the ones who were closest to me, members of my family. I think about my grandfather, who came to this country like so many other Mexican immigrants, who chose this country as his new home. And yet back then when he arrived, he was met with fear and bigotry. And yet he dedicated his life to act with courage and conviction, to do what he could to overcome those stereotypes about who we are as a community. When he founded La Opinión now over 100 years ago, it launched with the first editorial whose headline was, "Venimos a luchar," that we have come to this country to provide for our families, to work hard, to contribute to the well-being of this nation. And over the course of his legacy, regardless of the difficulties that he faced, he understood how important it was to maintain La Opinión and the freedom of the press and the right for us to use our voice to tell our story. And his legacy was then transmitted to my father, who also ran La Opinión before I ever did. And my father's courage, when a moment in time, a photographer for La Opinión was actually reporting on a raid by the Immigration Service, and they interfered and took his camera. And my father took this federal agency to court, and his righteous indignation, using the courts to defend our right to operate a free press, that conviction, that courage, that is leadership to me. And I look to them and am blessed that it is their path that has illuminated my career. It has been paved by those who've come before me. And I have learned along the way that we are measured by what we do with what has been given to us. And I have learned that to whom much is given, much is expected. I've learned that justice and equity is advanced only when we live by conviction and with courage, when we use the opportunity that has been afforded to us to advocate for others, to remove barriers to opportunity. I have learned that this quest for full inclusion and equity can only happen when it is done with clarity of vision and unwavering conviction. For me, whether it was the 30 years that I spent at the helm of a Spanish language media company or on the corporate boardroom, I knew that I have an obligation to use my position, my influence, my opportunity to open the door for others so that they also have position and influence and opportunity. It is unconscionable that in a country with 62 million Latinos, we only have 59 Latinas on corporate boards.
shaping decisions around strategy, around budgets, around people and products that we all use. But it is with organizations like NHMC that we are working together to set the record straight about who we are as a community. I have often said, it is not that we're invisible, it's that we're not seen. It is time that we work together, that we act together, that we bring our voice and our leadership and our perspective into the halls of decision-making. Leadership means catalyzing institutional change that breaks down the barriers to progress and replaces it with a system that works for all of us, that puts us at the table. So let us make tonight about courage, about conviction, about taking our rightful place at the table. And I want to close with some final remarks have resonated with me when I think about impact, and maybe they'll resonate with you. Meaning is not something you stumble across, like the answer to a riddle or the prize in a treasure hunt. Meaning is something you build into your life. You build it of your own past, out of your affections and your loyalties, out of your experiences of humankind that have been passed on to you, out of your talent and understanding, out of the things you believe in, out of the things and the people you love, out of the values for which you are willing to sacrifice something. You are the only one who can put them together into that unique pattern that will be your life. Let this be a life of dignity and one that has meaning. Muchas gracias.
Congratulations, Monica Lozano. Now, with an important message, here is a founding member and first chairman of the National Forum for Latino Healthcare Executives, former president of Children's Hospital, and current chairman of the NHMC board, Richard Cordova.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the National Hispanic Media Coalition's Impact Awards. I am Richard Cordova, chairman of the board of directors at NHMC. It is truly an honor to serve this 35-year-old civil rights organization alongside our fearless leader, Brenda Victoria Castillo, and the dedicated NHMC's team. The work this organization does, from advocating for digital equity and eliminating hate to bringing increased representation to Latinos in Hollywood, corporate boards, and government, is making a positive impact. As we say, it really takes a village. Latinos have the power to make or break a film. Together we can use our collective voices to truly change the industry. NHMC needs you. We'd like to make a moment to thank our partners, from longtime supporters to our first-time donors. We appreciate companies like Univision, T-Mobile, NBC Universal Telemundo, Target, Raytheon Technologies, Bank of America, Apple, and the rest of our supporters for believing in equity and inclusion for Latinos and taking action. Whether you are Latinx or not, we can all agree that representation matters, and we must end discrimination and racism towards all marginalized, underrepresented communities. I invite you to join our movement. Please consider making a tax-deductible donation by visiting nhmc.org donation. I'm looking forward to celebrating with you in person soon. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, thank you, Richard. Now, a little something about me, but don't get rattled. It all sort of ties in. I did some time on Broadway in the revival of A Chorus Line, and hopefully you heard of that show. It was way back in 1975. The original production, the song that is now a standard, What I Did for Love, was introduced by the actress Priscilla Lopez. No relation. It was unusual for a big hit song to be produced, or introduced, I should say, on Broadway by a Latin performer. And last year, her nephew, Matthew Lopez, became the first Latin writer in the history of Broadway to win the Tony Award for Best Play. How about that? And again, we're not related. There's a lot of Lopez's out there, but who am I talking to? All right. The play was The Inheritance, an LGBT variation on Howard's End, the classic novel by E.M. Forster. It chronicled a multi-generational story of the AIDS crisis. The play came to Broadway from London, where the cast was headed by Vanessa Redgrave. Great casting there. Matthew is as you may have guessed, a member of 2 American minorities, and he actively promotes the issues of each in his work and some other minorities as well. In The Whipping Man, he tells the true story of a family enslaved in the American South where they were converted to Judaism by the plantation owner and whose descendants lived their lives as Jews. In Somewhere, he uncovers what happened to a Puerto Rican community in New York when their neighborhood was torn down to build Lincoln Center. Now, one of the things that happened was before the demolition, the original movie of West Side Story was shot among the empty buildings. Matthew's father happened to be an extra in those scenes. For minority communities, there is no positive change without representation. And for his continuing award-winning representation of the Latino life, the Coalition is delighted to present the NHMC Impact Award for Outstanding Playwright to Matthew Lopez.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for this award. I'm particularly honored. You know, when I started writing The Inheritance many years ago, I really wanted to explore what it meant to me to be a gay man growing up in the shadow of AIDS, the generation right after the generation that lived through it, that fought for the rights of AIDS patients and for treatments. And I wanted to understand what was left to me and what my legacy was. And what I didn't anticipate was that I also came to understand what it meant to me to be a Latina writer writing about the gay experience. And a lot of people ask me, over the course of the many years that it ran in London and in New York, well, how is The Inheritance about the Latina experience? And my answer has always been, well, it's my experience, and therefore it is. I wanted to write about characters who love, who fear, who mourn, and that is a human experience. It's also the Latina experience, and so I'm very happy to be recognized in this way. Growing up, I really didn't have a lot of people to look up to, people in culture who had my last name. My friend Manny Gonzalez always talks about the idea of running into somebody with a Z in their last name and how unusual that was for her to see in film and television on stage. When I won the Tony several weeks ago, I became the first Latina writer to win in my category. And I knew it was important to say it out loud, because I was afraid that it would go unmentioned, because we all know what it's like to sort of feel invisible in our society as Latina people. But I also wanted people at home, young people most especially, watching and hearing those words and hearing that being recognized by me, by the person who's so fortunate enough to be the first. And I know what that would have been like for me to hear as a kid. And I wanted to give somebody else that experience, because if there's anything that I hope comes as a result of the work that I've done, the work that my fellow honorees have done, is of course bringing more attention to our community, but also I think there is this idea of creating hunger on the part of audiences, on the part of executives and producers and fellow creatives to want to know more about us, to want to know more about our stories, which will then that hunger will feed a need, and that need will be met by the generations coming up after me, after Tessa, who's younger than me, and I think that is important. I think one of the things we are doing is creating the hunger for the next generation to be able to step up to the plate and create in their own way and with their own voices, and so the recognition that you've given me with this honor, I think for me what it means is it also holds my feet to the fire. It also keeps me responsible for not just sort of saying, great, I've done what I've done and I'm very grateful and now I'm gonna go off and do something else. It keeps me tethered to the community. It tells me that people are watching and they're listening, and that is a great responsibility, which I'm honored to have, and one that I take very seriously, and I am certain all of my fellow honorees would say the same. So thank you for this. I want to keep telling our stories. I want to keep hearing our stories. I want to see lots of people with Z's in their last name and tildes and to just to hear and listen and contribute in any way that I can. So thank you.
Always fun to congratulate another Lopez. And now it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce a very distinguished guest, the man who represents the 20th Congressional District of Texas in the House of Representatives, the Honorable Congressman Joaquin Castro.
Hi, I'm Congressman Joaquin Castro of Texas. And I first wanted to say congratulations to all of the amazing honorees on your stellar careers and your incredible achievements. And thank you to the National Hispanic Media Coalition for recognizing those achievements and also for making sure that Latinos are represented in Hollywood. It matters because representation and portrayal often go together. The more Latinos and Latinas we have in front of and behind the camera, the more accurate and authentic and real the portrayals of our community will be. That matters because after a lot of work that I've done on these issues, I'm convinced that many Americans don't know who Latinos are. In other words, there's a void in the American narrative. The Latino narrative is missing. And that's not only inconvenient for our community, it's also dangerous. You see, when we can't help define ourselves, others are defining us. And oftentimes we're defined by stereotypes. Those stereotypes, unfortunately, are then taken by people in my line of work who abuse them for their own political gain. And in its worst iteration, you get what happened in El Paso, Texas, where a madman drove 10 hours and killed more than 20 people because he considered them, quote, Hispanic invaders to Texas. And so thank you to NHMC. Your work matters and you're making a difference.
Thank you, Congressman Castro. And now it is time for an acting award. But the difference between NHMC's acting awards and all the others is that this award is not just for acting, but for bringing to life a character that has an impact on the Latino community's place in the culture. Our recipient has had a lot of training in this area, from her very first movie, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, through White Man Can't Jump, her Oscar-nominated performance in Fearless, her classic Renee Montoya in Birds of Prey, and her explosive performance on Broadway as one of the best, worst entertainers of all time, Googie Gomez in The Ritz. She's shown the melodramatic, funny, heartbreaking, and hysterical sides of Latinas without ever reducing them to caricature, always maintaining their humanity. In the HBO Max series The Flight Attendant, she plays the title character's senior crew member, a responsible woman with a soft spot for an alcoholic stewardess who winds up in a big stew. She's a strong Latin woman here, and what's even more amazing is she has revealed publicly that she was suffering from COVID and was briefly hospitalized in Thailand while the series was shooting. She received an Emmy nomination for this performance, and tonight she receives an Impact Award. And I got through all of this without mentioning she created the choreography for the Fly Girls back in the day on In Living Color. So what an honor it is to present the NHMC Impact Award for Outstanding Performance in a Series to Rosie Perez.
Thank you so very much, Mario. And it's nice to know I've given you some fond memories. And I love that you're a boxing fan. And thank you, NHMC, for this recognition. It's especially rewarding to receive it for the flight attendant. And it is true, I was in bad shape in Bangkok. But thanks to the support of Katie Cuoco and the entire production team, we got through it. And this wraps it all up in such a beautiful ribbon. Now, this award is particularly meaningful because it comes from an organization I value in a unique way. Latinos fight every day for equal representation in media and entertainment. And these awards recognize the activism and screen work of prominent members of the Hollywood Latino community and provide a space for us as Latinos to celebrate our work, make sure our stories are being told, and our artists are being recognized. The Impact Awards also encourages the next generation of Latinx writers, directors, and artists in Hollywood and beyond, helping young people discover their voice and the power they have as creators by supporting emerging Latino leaders that thrive in their fields and continue to open doors for others. Now, tonight's virtual fiesta showcases just how many incredible stories and projects from Latin artists that are just waiting to be told if they get the opportunity. The NHMC Impact Awards encourages stakeholders in the entertainment industry to continue to hire us, work with us, and make sure we're in the decision-making spaces. As a proud Puerto Rican woman, I want to continue to use my power and influence in Hollywood to support NHMC's mission by ensuring that the Latinx experience is reflected in my role choices and projects that I'm a part of, and energize the next generation of Latinx creatives to come together and show up for Latinx content. As we continue to fight for Latinx representation in the media, it is critical that we as a community come together and show up for Latinx content. There's strength in numbers, people. And the more we support content that resonates with Black and Brown people, the more we'll see ourselves represented. Thank you again, not just for giving me this award, but for displaying the growing strength in our community. I truly, truly appreciate it. Pa'lante. Let's keep going.
Congratulations, Rosie. I'd like to take this moment to recognize a few individuals who have been making a difference for the Latino community by their representation in two of the principal places where NHMC focuses its work: government and the media. They've helped to bring Latino visibility to new heights in 2021, even in the face of the pandemic and the intense partisan pressure of today's politics. We actually have a longer list, but we decided to narrow to these 5 exemplars. In government, Miguel Cardona, Secretary of Education in the Biden cabinet. Senator Alex Padilla, who is the first Latino that my home state of California has sent to the United States Senate. In media, specifically entertainment, and even more specifically the world of superheroes, we have 3. Ángel Manuel Soto, the director of the first Latino superhero movie, Blue Beetle. Sasha Calle, otherwise known as Stand Back, Supergirl. And Leslie Grace, otherwise known as Duck, Batgirl. We have Latino superheroes on screen and in the Senate, and thank you to all of them for breaking through. But right now it's time for another acting award, this one for a performance in a film. Our recipient is, well, can we talk about range? Her career has taken her from the reboot of the horror classic When a Stranger Calls to the important social document Selma, to the live-action reboot of Walt Disney's Lady and the Tramp, to the iconic role of Valkyrie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe of Thor, to the fantasy of HBO's Westworld. All right. All of this got her own production company and an enduring relationship with home box office, for whom she has created half a dozen projects. But for this specific award she is about to get, it's for her acting in an upcoming film that resonates with so many people in communities of color. Passing. The film, directed by Rebecca Hall and co-starring Ruth Negga, is set in the Harlem Renaissance of 100 years ago and deals with the practice of racial passing, living a life as a member of a different race than your own. We're all familiar with some recent cases of passing, which goes by other more academic names these days. This depiction in this movie is hardly academic. It is a raw, searing, and it cuts quick to an issue that unfortunately still exists 100 years later. For her performance in Passing, the National Hispanic Media Coalition presents its award for film acting to Tessa Thompson.
I'd like to thank the National Hispanic Media Coalition so much for this exquisite honor. It is always a pleasure and an honor to be acknowledged for your work, but even more so by your peers and community. This award apparently is called the Impact Award, and I'll be honest, when I first started acting, I wasn't sure what impact I could make. I have always wanted, in some way, big or small, to make a difference in this world, and when I was young, I had the hubris enough to believe that I could, but I didn't know how, and I didn't think that acting was the way. And then I remember the moments that I saw projections of myself on screen, seeing a character that you can identify with, that looks, that feels like you, that sounds like you, is so hugely impactful. It validates your own experience. It makes you feel less lonely. I think about my grandparents who immigrated to this country, one from Panama and one from Mexico. I think about the images that they must have seen when they were young, trying in their own way to fit in, to raise their families, to have opportunity, how important a community like this would have been for them then. It is on their shoulders that I stand, and so many Black women, Afro-Latina women that have worked inside of our industry, Latinx women. I feel a huge debt of gratitude to those that came before me and those that I work with now. For that reason, I think it's deeply important that when we talk about representation, that the folks that are being represented have the ability to tell their own stories. And so I thank you so much, National Hispanic Media Coalition, for centering us, for making sure that we have a voice, that we don't go unseen, and that we are acknowledged. Again, it is such an honor to receive the Impact Award. I hope we have the opportunity to celebrate together, hopefully one day. But until then, thank you so much, and all of my gratitude to you.
Congratulations, Tessa Thompson. Music time. Get to the edge of your seat. Here comes the sensational combination of Eddie Zuko and Vel the Wonder.
I'm so out of my mind. You got me frustrated, baby. Why do you always say the same things like we in a loop? I swear we in a loop. In a loop. I think I'm hallucinating or I'm going out of my, out of my. I'm so out of my, out of my, out of my. I'm so out of my mind. Got me out of my. I'm so out of my mind. Got me out of my. I'm so out of my. Tell me why you like this for. Like to get under my skin. Oh, I don't understand, yo no entiendo. Yeah. Get it, got it, good, I don't want. Wait up, hold up, I didn't hear you too well. You know I don't like when you mumble. Little shit say under your breath though. I'd rather you scream like a tamalera. Yeah. Hasta que los vecinos nos oigan afuera. Fuera, fuera, yeah. No, it's always out of love. Every time it get a little heated, say smart as shit. Probably should've known. I shouldn't have said. I guess I'll never learn my lesson. No, you probably had enough. Knowing why we in the rut, knowing why we in the rut. But every time merry-go-girl, once you try letting go, move it along. No, we both tired of the same old song. Yeah. I know right now it's ugly. One day we'll think this funny. Yeah. Out of mind, out of mind. I'm so out of mind, out of mind, out of mind. I'm so out of my mind. Got me out of mind. I'm so out of my mind. Got me out of mind. I'm so out of mind.
Every time I hear the same I wanna change it. You feel complacent. I cannot stand on the same pavement. You take them easy A's when I want challenge in my statement. Wrote the recipe so you can't ask me how I made it. Alternative cause, a loop was a way up from second the walls and seeing it all. Why say you love me if you didn't mean it at all? I'm reaching for stars, and if they ain't delivering, then I'm leaving to Mars. I see you tomorrow. My vision, the only reason you see me at all. You need to speak up, I ain't hearing what you're saying. I move forward with my feet up, you kicking back with the session. It's getting too old for me, and everything is on the road for me. I'm reaching new goals like I'm supposed to be, controlling my buzz like I'm supposed to drink. And compelling my words like I'm supposed to think. And all of my senses feel complex like you chose to blink. And now think about it. Every anytime you wanna come and see around it. Try breaking the barrier instead of ring around it. Alternative ways if you wanna see around it.
You got me frustrated, baby. Why do you always say the same things like we in a loop? I swear we in a loop, in a loop. I think I'm hallucinating or I'm going out of mind, out of mind, out of mind, out of mind, out of mind. I'm so out of my mind. I'm so out of mind. I'm so out of my mind. Got me out of mind. Got me out of mind.
Eddie and Vel, thank you so much Latino talent right here. Here comes some more. They are as famous for being producers as they are performers, and their sisters, Mariel, Cicely, and what's her name again? Oh yeah, Zoe Saldana, the Saldana sisters.
Hi everyone, we are honored to join you here tonight. I am with my lovely sisters, Marielle and Zoe, and I am Cicely Saldana. We're here to celebrate Latinx talent across the industry. As we venture into the next decade, we want to recognize the accomplishments of our friends and allies in the entertainment world.
We know how difficult it is for the BIPOC to navigate in this space, to be seen, heard, and validated for our vast array of experiences.
That is one of the many reasons we started Sinistar Pictures over 10 years ago. The beauty of the United States lies in our cultural differences, and we want to capture all of it, especially the stories that go untold. We want to tell honest and complex stories about women, and we want to empower ourselves to tell our own truths. We want you to see them because we've always been here, and now it's time for the world to see perspectives we often don't.
Our goal is to make an impact on film and television as we know it. This industry is already changing, and we're so happy to be a part of it.
So for our community, for our families, for the future brown and Black little girls who have not only watched our content, but want to create their own, we're waiting for you. Know your experiences are valid and your voice is very important.
We can't wait to see your stories because, as you already know, representation matters. Have a great night, everyone, and thank you to the NHMC for having us.
All right, our final honor of the night is the Impact Award for Outstanding Achievement in Film, but the woman taking it home has done something a lot more. She's used her achievements in film to achieve so much in so many other areas, speaking up for her community, speaking out on behalf of abused women, organizing a special movement to help women during their pandemic, working on the refugee problem half a world away, an incredible list of accomplishments all the way around. But it is her work in the movies that got her there. Starting in Mexican telenovelas, her big break came when she embarked on a collaboration with Robert Rodriguez, then a fledgling director himself, and Antonio Banderas, with whom she made several films and at least one fantastic cartoon feature, Puss in Boots, classic, got kids, you know. From there, it was a hop into her own production company, bringing Ugly Betty to TV screens all around the world, as well as directing her first feature, The Maldonado Miracle, an Oscar nomination for her performance as Frida Kahlo in the multi-nominated Frida, produced by her company. And when you thought she had climbed about every mountain an actress can, she became a star in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, yes, a superhero, in the recently released Eternals. And coming up next, Ridley Scott's examination of The House of Gucci with Al Pacino, Jared Leto, Adam Driver, Lady Gaga, and yes, you know who I mean. Her impact has been profound, both as an artist and an activist, and she continues to put her culture in the forefront of everything she does. What a pleasure to present the National Hispanic Media Coalition Award for Outstanding Achievement in Film to Salma Hayek Pino.
I am very grateful to the National Hispanic Media Coalition for honoring me with the Outstanding Achievement in Film Award. This is very meaningful to me because in a world where we as Latinos fight every day for equal representation in media and entertainment, the Impact Awards recognizes the activism and work of prominent members of the Hollywood Latino community. They provide a space for our work to be celebrated, make sure our stories are being told, and our artists are being recognized. They also encourage the next generation of Latino writers, directors, and artists, and helps young people discover their voices and the power that they have as creatives by supporting emerging leaders. Together, we have to keep fighting to ensure that the entertainment industry continues to hire us, work with us, and make sure we are in the decision-making spaces. Mil gracias. Mwah.
Congratulations again, Salma. In fact, another round of congratulations to all of our honorees tonight. What a great night it's been. This is just a sampling, by the way, of the breadth of talent and activism in the Latino community. The NHMC is on top of all of it, and you can follow 24/7 on their website, nhmc.org, or on social, where we keep the message positive. Thanks to Cedering Fox for helping out on the voiceover intros, and thank you for being a part of all this. Hope we made you feel right at home. Good night, and see you next year live and in person.
Impact Awards, thank you all so much, and I hope you had a lovely evening. We appreciate you being here, and make sure when you go back out there, you take care of each other. Have a good night. This last song is called Juliet.
When it comes to validation, you seek what you don't find in these avenues where they grow complacent. A girl like you could lose her mind, and it feels like you can finally see, yes, you're beautiful, but the world's still mean. Oh, 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 oh. And does it really matter, Juliet? Can you go through with it? Juliet, do you still care? Hey, baby girl, you've known it for so long. To find yourself, you had to lose it all. Reeling back from subtle lies about who you want and what you like. If it means that much to prove the other side of the truth, the kerosene could burn you too. Can you handle it if it takes you? Oh, Juliet, baby girl, do you believe that you got it? You got it. Hey, oh. Oh, oh, and does it really matter, Juliet? Can you go through with it? Juliet, do you still care? Juliet, can you go through with it? Juliet, do you still care? It's all on you. And it's your time. Hey, it's all on you, Juliet. And it's your time. And does it really matter to you? Hey, does it really matter to you? Does it really matter to you? Does it really matter to you? Oh, say, Juliet, can you go through with it? Juliet, do you still care?
Hey, thank you so much, Eliza, for being here with me, backing me up tonight. NHMC got so much love for you. Have a good night.